How's it going? Goku floated up to Raditz and Break, who were still sparring in the air above Kame House. It's hard to tell, Break replied. We've only been training for a couple of hours. Actually, we haven't really started, Raditz shrugged. I'm trying to improve Break's stance and technique. Your son did his best to teach her in the future, but he never really completed his own teaching before we died. And I'm going to need her to be a true fighter before we even think about reaching past Super Saiyan. Say what? Break asked, rounding on Raditz. You can't think about me so much. Do what you have to do on your own. He held up a hand to try and calm her down. Look, I know you've got potential. We can both surpass Super Saiyan. I know it. Just give it time. You're a quick learner. It won't take long to bring you up to speed. He turned to Goku. Oh, your friend died, right? Tien? Yeah, Goku told him, suddenly feeling less optimistic when he remembered hearing the news. Are you going to wish him back with the Dragon Balls? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd have to use the ones on New Namek. Goku nodded. That's right. But we figure we'll wait until the threat is over, then bring everyone who's died back in one go. Otherwise, some emergency wish might come up, but we've already used our wishes for the whole year, and we're doomed. I guess so. Break joined the discussion. But what if one of the balls is destroyed, like in my timeline? Then you wouldn't get any wishes. We'll have to risk it, Goku decided. It's worth having them in reserve in case something comes up. Oh, Goku! Raditz remembered something he'd been thinking about. I want to ask you something. Huh? Okay, I guess. If I die in battle, don't wish me back, alright? He looked extremely serious as he said this. What? Why? Nature has given us this one life, to live to its fullest extent. I don't want to have a free ticket out just because I know the world's greatest scavenger hunters. Look, the Dragon Balls can't be used on natural deaths, correct? Goku tilted his head back, trying to remember. I think so. Yeah, that's right. And let's face it, to people as strong as us, natural disasters and accidents aren't very threatening, Raditz continued. The only death of mine you could reverse with them is a death in battle. But that's the only death I'd ever accept. He faced Goku, looking him in the eyes. Understand? I think I do, Goku nodded. If you die an honorable death in battle, you want to be remembered that way, not cheat your opponent of their victory and go out quietly in your old age, right? That's exactly it. He folded his arms. My warrior's pride won't allow anything else. So promise me, Goku, on your word as my brother, and as one of the last Saiyans, swear you will never revive me on the Dragon Balls. Goku gave a thumbs up, but his face was grim. Alright, I promise. Now I'm gonna see what everyone's got planned. Good luck ascending. Raditz considered this as Goku left. Ascending? The light slowly faded, and Mr. Popo looked up. Standing opposite him, on the edge of Kami's lookout, was an almost familiar figure. He was a Namekian, that much was certain. He stood almost a foot taller than Piccolo, who had already been over 7 feet, and from his imposing musculature must have weighed nearly twice as much. He wore simple blue clothes with Piccolo's symbol on the front and Kami's on the back, and had a stern expression on his face. Slowly, he turned to face the bewildered genie. Do not be afraid, Mr. Popo, he said. His voice was strong, but kind. Who are you? Mr. Popo asked. Me? That is a very good question. The Namekian crossed his arms, furrowing his brow. I am not Kami, nor am I Piccolo. I have not existed as one being for a very long time. I am the son of Katas. I am the Namek who has long since forgotten his name. So, what should I call you? I'm not sure. It might not matter anyway. You probably won't see much of me in the future. He shrugged. I won't? Why? The Namek smiled. I'm not fit to be guardian of Earth. It's Piccolo, you see. His evil taint still resides within me. He said this jovially, as if commenting on the weather. No, you'll have to find someone else. You know, you wouldn't make a half-bad guardian yourself, if you had a bit more self-confidence. Before Mr. Popo could speak, the Namek had taken off, his slipstream bowling his former servant over onto the floor. The Namek flew through the air. Kami discovered a great and terrible evil during the last few days, but it's hard to follow. It masks its trail like a cunning animal. I can feel traces of it. where it's been in the past, but not where it is now. Damn! It's like trying to catch water in your hands. He flew onwards. It couldn't hide forever. Wait, what? Goku asked. That's right. Bulma held up the printout. Look, it's a Capsule Corp vehicle, but I don't recognize the model at all. And you say they found this in the middle of the jungle? How weird. Yeah, it was covered in moss and stuff like it's been there for years. Hey, Break, who along with Raditz was resting inside Kame House after a few hours training, leaned over, looking at the picture. That's my time machine! Everyone fell silent as she continued to speak. But it looks so old. It must be from further in the future than I come from. I wonder who used it. Whoever it was, they blast their way out. See that hole in the canopy there? She looked up. We should go check this out. Raditz stood up. I'll take you there with instant transmission. We can't risk leaving a key trail. One of the androids can sense us. Bulma, you should come with us. You know Capsule Corp technology better than any of us. Right. Zarbon walked over. Then count me in too. What am I, a tour bus? Raditz muttered, as Break, Bulma, and Zarbon all placed a hand on his shoulder. Still grumbling, he teleported them all away, leaving everyone else to wait for their return. Chi-Chi was upstairs disciplining Gohan, but the rest were just milling around, waiting for new developments. The world seemed to be in a strange state of limbo at the moment. They really didn't have a direction. Master Roshi sighed. First the androids, now another time traveler. Things are getting complicated. I know what you mean, Goku nodded. I liked it better when it was simple. Androids are coming in 3 years, train hard, fight, win. Well, we did that. But then more of them came along and we lost. Only we didn't. We're still here. And now there's this. He scratched the back of his neck irritably. I don't like this. Yeah, that's definitely my time machine. Only not my version. My one's in one of my capsules in my pocket. Break peered at the aged vehicle. To see it in this condition, it's just creepy. Bulma was examining it too. Well, it's definitely a capsule model. Looks like something we might come up with in a couple of decades, I guess. Yeah, you will, Break smiled. You never fail to amaze me, you know? There were all these powerful fighters around, but it was still you that saved us 9 times out of 10. Bulma laughed. Sounds just like me. Trust you fighters to get into messes you can't handle. Still, I hope it doesn't come to that. If you can beat the androids in a straight fight, that'd be great. The prospect of trying to figure out a way to turn them off isn't exactly enticing. Break shrugged. Well, the future version of you has been trying for 17 years. If it was possible, I think you'd have done it. Well, I'll still take a look at it if I have to, but let's just focus on this for now. Yes, let's. Raditz agreed, standing a few paces away. Zarbon was on guard duty, hovering about a mile overhead. I'm already getting bored of this little field trip. Oh, hush! Bulma waved him into silence. We're investigating the unknown. Go punch something or whatever. Huh? Raditz scowled at her back as she turned to examine the time machine. Did you come up with that all by yourself? Bulma ignored him. Hey, Break, give me a boost. Sure. Break hefted Bulma up until she could get a look into the cockpit of the time machine. Hey, what's this? Bulma reached in and pulled out something. Jumping down to the ground, she laid the 2 objects down in front of her. Take a look. Is this some component of the machine? No, I've never seen them before, Break replied. There were 2 identical hollow hemispheres, light purple in color and covered in small bumps. Looks more organic than mechanical. Yeah, I see what you mean. Bulma rubbed her chin in thought. Almost looks like 2 halves of an egg or something. An egg? Are you sure? What kind of creature would hatch out of that? Raditz spoke up, having wandered over out of curiosity. Well, whatever it is, it knows how to work a time machine, or at least whoever put it in there did. And this creature's been here in our time for quite a while now. If the state of the machine's anything to go by. But why would someone put a strange creature like that in a time machine and send it here? Bulma asked. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm much more worried about the killer robots that are actively searching for us than some mystery time-traveling creature that may or may not actively be a threat. He held out a hand. Come on, let's go back. I'm not going to ascend just standing here. The small house on Mount Paozu exploded violently. Stalking away from it, Android 17 ground his teeth. They're not here, he complained. 18 rolled her eyes. Of course they're not here, 17. It's far too obvious. They know we're looking for them. She shook her head. You could have waited to blow up the place, you know. There might have been something worth taking. I could do with a change of clothes, for one thing. Mine are still torn up from that last battle. Oh, quit whining, 17 replied. If it means that much to you, we'll stop at a shop or something on the way. Let's just get going, she said. They returned to their stolen vehicle, where 16 was silently waiting for their return. He only spoke once they had started moving again. I told you the probability of their anticipating our search and moving elsewhere was significant, he stated. You too, 17 moted. Give me a break. I can feel Piccolo's spirit within me, the newly fused Namek thought, like a poison eating away at my good intentions. I'll have to deal with that, but not like last time. I won't unleash that monster on the world again. Luckily, Piccolo wanted this threat eliminated as much as Kami, so I won't have to worry about that in the immediate future. I should focus on... There. I found you. He banked right, arcing down towards a small city called Gingertown. Human energy signatures were disappearing, one after the other. There were only a couple left by the time the Namek landed. This place feels... wrong. Like the town itself is sick. Whatever's killing this people, it's unnatural. The air seemed to hang thick and cloying around him. He almost turned away at the sight of the inhabitants' remains. Of their bodies there was no sign, but their empty clothes lay scattered all around. They'd just been sucked right out of them, or vaporized without touching the clothes. A few guns lay on the ground with them, spent cartridges dotting the road. They had fought back, evidently, but their foe had been beyond the level of mere firearms. If only there were more great fighters in the world. His head turned as one of the last two human energy signatures in the town faded, but at that moment, he'd felt the faintest flicker of another power. It had been small, but he knew it was just the tip of the iceberg, an extremely powerful being trying to hide itself. Without a doubt, the culprit. He made straight for the town center, where he'd felt the signal. Whatever it was, it wouldn't escape. There you are! The voice startled the creature, which was obscured by shadows as it crouched in the corner. This distraction gave its human victim the moment it needed to try and flee. He leapt up, terrified yelps escaping his mouth, and scrambled away. But something lashed out from the darkness, stabbing into his back. With a sick, gurgling sound, the very life was pumped out of him. His skin began to wrinkle and crack, as his insides liquidated and rushed up the appendage. His skin soon followed, and his clothes sank into the ground, an empty husk. The Namek watched all this in horror, and took a wary step back as the creature emerged. It stood even taller than he did, and was roughly humanoid, though otherwise it appeared to be somewhere between an insect and a lizard. It had colored various shades of green, speckled with black spots, and the occasional splash of orange. There were gemstone-like black circles in the center of its chest and forehead, eerily reminiscent of Frieza's family. It had two horn-like protrusions extending at angles from its head, insectile wings stretching down its back, and a long, twisting tail ending in a needle-sharp stinger. What are you? The Namek growled. Why are you doing this? The creature hissed. Piccolo. No, not Piccolo. Not quite. It blinked a couple of times, its eyes narrowing into slits. Who are you? How does it know the name Piccolo? I'm the Namek who first came to Earth. I created Piccolo and Kami many years ago, he replied. This was a test, to find out how much it knew. Ah, I see. They fused, didn't they? It rasped. Unexpected. Most unexpected. But nothing to worry about. You are still no threat to me. Still, what shall I call you? The Namek doesn't really work now, does it? He smiled. I've been given that some thought, actually. And I've decided. I shall take the name of my father, the honorable Namekian who spared me from my home planet's catastrophe. You can call me Katas. The creature opened its beak-like mouth, bearing 4 small fangs in a strange sort of grin.
Well then, Katas, let's get a move on. I know you're here to stop me, but you haven't a clue why I'm here. Trust me when I say you have no idea what you're getting into. My name is Cell, and I'm the last opponent you will ever face!
It crouched, like a spider tensing itself to pounce. Katas waited for Cell's attack, dodging to the right as its tail lashed past him, demolishing the building behind him. He struck back, leading with a low kick that Cell jumped over, making a grab for him with both hands. Katas jumped inside its guard, punching Cell in the jaw and sending it staggering back. He followed up with an elbow jab, but swung through Cell's after image, his foe appearing behind him, spinning and knocking him through a city block. Rising from the rubble, Katas scowled at the approaching creature. "You're right. I don't know why you're here, so why don't you tell me?" He raised his guard, waiting for the next attack.
Very well. Your fused power is impressive, but hardly a match for my own, especially augmented by the people of this town.
Cell laughed, a noise not entirely unlike styrofoam-coated fingernails on chalkboard.
So I suppose you won't live to tell anyone else. I, Cell, am the ultimate creation of Dr. Giro.
Katas's eyes widened. What? Android 16's eyes flickered, concern briefly registering on his face. "I detect 2 high powers in combat," he commented. "What's this?" 18 leaned back. "Who's fighting?" "I do not know," 16 replied. "The energy signatures do not match any in my database, or any of the warriors I fought earlier. However, the power is in the region of yours, if not quite your equal." "There you go," 17 smiled. "There's still no match for us, so it doesn't matter. I'm sure we'll run into them eventually. Let's just focus on finding Goku, alright? Which would be a lot faster if you didn't insist on driving the whole way," 18 muttered.
You see, Cell continued, even now, in a secondary underground laboratory, Dr. Giro's supercomputer is continuing its work. It is programmed with his intelligence and personality. For all intents and purposes, it is Dr. Giro, but without the limits of a human mind. I was the final product of this computer, the ultimate bio-android. I possess the ability to steal energy from others, something you'd know about if you watched the news. Town emptied by mystery killer, that sort of thing, I'd imagine.
Katas frowned. "But how were you created in such a short space of time? Giro himself hasn't been dead for long."
Well, I'm not from your time period, Cell replied. But I know a little girl called Break who owns a time machine. Well, I knew her. And now I own a time machine. Or I would if I had much use for it. But why would I? I come from a desolate future, with barely any life on the planet for me to absorb.
"So you can steal power," Katas spat. "I'd hardly call you the ultimate creation just because of that. The androids from earlier were stronger than you."
Ah, but that's not all, my friend. You see, I'm built from the combined DNA of the greatest fighters ever to grace this planet. Even yours. Not only that, I'm programmed with an innate knowledge of all their techniques. Let me demonstrate.
He raised 2 fingers to his forehead, electric yellow bolts of power arcing off them, crackling loudly.
Special Beam Cannon!
What the? Katas couldn't believe the amount of power being generated by the attack. His power really is greater than mine, and he knows Piccolo's technique. Cell released the attack, and Katas tried to leap out of the way, but Cell was faster than him. In trying to dodge, Katas managed to get most of his body clear of the piercing beam, but it shot right through his left leg, bringing him crashing back down to the ground. Trying to ignore the pain, he rolled to the side as Cell's foot came crashing down where his head had been. He pushed off the ground with his good leg, landing 2 solid punches that knocked Cell flying. With some effort, he focused his internal energies and regenerated the damaged tissue in his leg, allowing himself to stand again. Alright, now, where is he? He heard a hiss of a fast-moving object speeding through the air behind him. Before he could turn, Cell was upon him, the whip-like tail curling around Katas's front and stabbing him in the chest. Katas ducked, causing Cell to stumble and nearly stab itself in the chest. It righted itself, but in its moment of hesitation, Katas struck, another punch putting Cell down. Cell dragged itself to its feet, a low growl coming from the back of its throat.
You're a tricky one, but your luck has to run out sooner or later. I'll drain your energy, just like all these humans. But how much more power can you offer me than those weaklings, I wonder?
Don't plan on finding out, creature! A voice called, as Cell jumped away to avoid an energy blast. The smoke cleared to reveal Nail, both hands extended in the aftermath of his attack. He smiled. So I was right. It felt like a Namekian presence, but due to the distance I wasn't sure, so I came alone. I didn't want to risk everyone running into the androids. Still, I have to wonder, who exactly are you? Call me Katas, the larger Namekian replied. I'm the fusion of Piccolo and Kami. Ah, so you rejoined. That explains it. Nail turned to face Cell, who was glaring at him. Of course, that begs the next obvious question. Who, or what, is this? It calls itself Cell. It's another creation of Dr. Giroux's, this one designed by a supercomputer in the future. It stole Break's time machine and came back here. Of course. Nail began to look wary as Cell advanced. Nothing's ever simple, is it?
Your gallows humor is appreciated, Cell hissed, but your time is up!
It leapt at Nail, but Katas intercepted. Nail won't have a chance against this thing. He landed with a high kick that crashed into Cell's block, shaking the ground beneath him. Cell countered with a quick swipe of his claws that raked strips of cloth off of Katas' shirt. He jumped away, hurling an energy ball to cover his retreat, but Cell knocked it aside without much difficulty. Nail ran at Cell from the side, trying to get in a sneak attack, but Cell noticed the attack coming without much trouble. It jumped over Nail's swinging fist, grabbed hold of his shoulders, and plunged its tail into his back. Nail gasped as it began to pump energy out of his body. As he began to lose strength, he fell to his knees. Seeing this, Katas acted quickly. His eyes flashed, two thin energy beams scything through Cell's tail, slicing it neatly in half. Cell snarled, spinning to face Katas as Nail dropped to the ground. Katas grinning. No more stealing energy, Cell.
You think so?
Cell replied, waving its cauterized tail stump as if showing off.
Didn't I tell you? I have your DNA, Namekian, and that means I have your ability to regenerate!
It grunted, and a new tail end burst, dripping with gore from the ruins of the old. Cell laughed softly.
How do you like that? Not that I needed it to defeat you.
Damn! I'm not getting anywhere! Katas tried to think of a move. Wait for more fighters to arrive? Who knew how long that would take?
Ah!
Nail, using the last of his energy, was back on his feet and charging Cell again, but the bio-android vanished and reappeared on the other side of the town square.
Here's another technique I've inherited,
it shouted, forming a blue ball of energy between its hands.
Kamehame!
The beam shot from Cell's outstretched palms, smashing into Nail's unprotected form and launching him away. Katas flew over as he hit the ground, crouching next to his fellow Namek. How bad is the damage? He asked quickly. Nail coughed up blood. Doesn't look good. He was covered in scratches and burns. You're not looking 100% yourself. I'm fine, Katas insisted. But listen, there's not much time. Can you regenerate? I've been trying, Nail told him. Managed to fix a couple of vital organs. But I've used most of my energy throwing up a last-minute shield when that blast hit. Look, I haven't got long. It's drastic, but there's a way one of us can make it out of this. You can beat that thing. Maybe the androids too. You don't mean. Nell held up one hand towards Katas. Take my power. You want to fuse with me. You realize this isn't like Kami and Piccolo. We were never originally one being. You'd have to use me as a base. You'd cease to exist. I'm dying anyway. I can't believe how quickly he beat me. Nail glanced over to the side. He's coming this way, taking his time, showing off how he hasn't got anything to worry about. But look, together, we'd be far more than the sum of our parts. Trust me, the planet needs a defender with that kind of strength. I can't do it, Katas protested. There's evil in my heart. Piccolo was a testament to that. I tried to do good, but the more power I possess, the greater the temptation to misuse it. Let's use you as a base. You can take my power. No good. I'm too injured. Look at me. I'm a mess. Nail smiled. Look, the fact that you even considered sacrificing yourself and letting me be the base is proof that, at heart, you're still a noble being. You are fit to be this planet's guardian. Just have faith in yourself. He raised a hand, and Katas took it. All right. I won't forget you, Nail. A blue glow began to envelop the two of them.
What's this?
Cell stopped his approach, examining the situation.
Oh, I see. Nail is just giving Katas what little key he has left. Well, it still won't make him my equal.
He decided to wait. If they had false hope, their defeat would be all the sweeter. And more energy to be drained was a good thing, of course. Just as Nail prepared to transform his essence into pure energy and pour it into Katas, the other Namek grinned. I'm sorry my second stay on this planet was so short. I wish I could have been around longer. What? Nail gasped. With this energy, you should be able to heal yourself and still win the fight. No problem. What are you talking about? He's reversing the fusion, giving his life for me. Nail realized. He tried to fight it, but Katas' spirit was stronger, and there wasn't anything Nail could do to stop him. You can defeat Cell, and with this act, I can finally rid the world of Piccolo. Good luck. No! The light grew to blinding intensity, and Cell stepped away involuntarily.
What are they doing?
In his timeline, no Nameks had ever fused together. This was entirely new to him. The light receded, revealing Nail, lying alone on the ground. He could feel Katas' essence, containing both Piccolo and Kami, fading into his subconscious. You stubborn bastard! He gritted his teeth. Nail forced rejuvenating energy through his entire body, knitting flesh back together, resetting bones, and smoothing over burns. He stood up slowly, turning to face Cell. Another quick burst of light, and his clothes were remade anew. Kami's symbol was branded onto the back of his jacket. He returned to face Cell, his eyes burning.
Your power. What did you do? Where did the other one go?
Cell demanded. His response came in the form of a fist to the gut, driving him to his knees. Nail followed up with an uppercut that knocked Cell flat on his back. Cell sprang up, charging Nail, but the newly fused Namekian dodged its attacks with little effort, kicking it into the air. Cell gasped for air, feeling its bruises throbbing as painful reminders of the sudden turnaround.
I won't forget this! I'll return, and you will die! You, the Saiyans, the humans, all of you!
You're not going anywhere, Nail told it.
So you say.
Cell raised both hands to its forehead, splaying out its 8 fingers.
Solar flare!
The sudden burst of light burned into Nail's eyes, blinding him. By the time he could see again, Cell was gone, its key signature hidden. Gah! I should have expected this! Goku landed in the town, now almost reduced to rubble from the intensity of the battle. Hey Nail, what's going on? I felt some huge powers. Something a bit like Piccolo's, but not as evil. Fighting, well, first it felt like it was fighting Piccolo himself, then me, and then Tien. What happened? Nail sighed. Let's get back to the others. I'd rather not tell this twice. And we never even got to meet this Katas guy? Krillin, back at Kami House, lamented. Aw, that sucks. Plus, we're going to have to rely on our friends over on New Namek for Dragon Balls now. Kami and Piccolo fusing would have got rid of them, from what Kami told us when we were training for that year under him. Well, he is a part of me now, Nail told him. He was noble, despite his flaws, and we should remember his sacrifice. Chi-Chi was next to speak, sitting protectively next to Gohan, who was grudgingly doing his homework. The androids are looking for Goku, right? Seems that way, Master Roshi answered. So, she said, if they're programmed with all this knowledge like you said, they'll know where we live. They'll head to Mount Paozu first, and since we're not there, they'll come to the next most likely place. Here. Raditz finished. We should move. And soon, Kame House won't be safe anymore. Launch spoke up. I know a place. I visited Tien there, after the last world tournament we went to. He had a secluded home in the mountains. Yeah, that's our house, Chaozu said. At least, it has been since Master Shen turned us out. Then we'll head there, Yamcha agreed. We'll be safe for a while, but I guess we do need a plan. We can't run forever. Yeah. Hey, Nail. Goku looked over at the amalgamation of all their Namekian allies. Do you think you could take on the androids with your new power? Well, it's hard to say. Nail thought this over. I mean, it's not like they have any key to measure. But, and this isn't a boast, I'm definitely stronger than you Super Saiyans now. I can't promise I'll win, but to protect this world, it's worth a shot. Alright, do that if you want, but we'll have to wait for the androids to show themselves. We can't sense them, remember? Nail smiled. Simple enough. We've worked out they're coming to Kame House. The rest of you go and hide in the mountains. I'll stay here and wait for them. When you sense me powering up to maximum, you'll know the battle's begun. Right. Raditz nodded. We'll keep trying to figure out a way to surpass Super Saiyan, and we'll join you if we do. Alright. They stood up and began to head for the door. A smile crossed Goku's face. They had a plan. They had hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could come out of this on top. Android 16 continued to scan incoming energy signatures on its inbuilt sensor array. The two powers I was following have stopped fighting, he announced. I must report that one of them grew significantly during the battle. It now equals your own, 17. Equal to me? No way, 17 laughed quietly. That is impossible. I'm the ultimate fighting android. Ultimate android? 18 shot back. I'm right here, you know. Oh, you know as well as I do that Dr. Gero suppressed your power in comparison to mine, 17 retorted. I think he was trying to make you less rebellious. Didn't go too well, did it? They chuckled, recalling Android 19's continued attempts to give them orders in their creator's name, and its subsequent fate at 18's hands. 16 lapsed into silence, warning delivered. Don't worry, 16, 17 said, as the coast came into view. It's probably just a sensor malfunction. There's no one on this planet that can challenge us. No one. Well, here I am at 10 in the evening with no ideas for what to put in this section, so yeah. Q&A. Not doing that. And a message to Gohan fans. I've probably said this before, I really can't remember, but be patient, okay? He doesn't really do anything in this chapter, I know. I'm sorry. He will. Trust me? And that is chapter 27.
The introduction of Cell was quite an interesting one.
So be ready for the next chapter, chapter 28. It's Nail versus the androids. With his increased power, what will the outcome of the fight be? Will it be similar to canon? Or will it be something entirely new? Find out in just a little bit. I'll see you then. Nail was growing uneasy. The androids could arrive at any time, without warning, but he had to stay at Kami House and wait for them, as this would be the best chance he'd get to confront them. Would his new power be enough? He didn't know. Cell was also preying on his mind. The creature was on the move, he could sense that. More towns were being drained of life in a matter of hours. But not only might he miss the androids, by the time Nail would be able to get to the site of Cell's next attack, it'd be gone again, masking its energy. What was its true purpose? To absorb everyone? He thought back to the moment he'd been pierced by that terrible stinger. The sensation of your very life force being ripped out of your body. He could only imagine how much more terrifying it would be to die that way. Cell would have to be stopped. But first, the androids. Break, finished with her training routine for the moment, went over to Goku and Raditz. They'd been sitting opposite each other in deep meditation on a hilltop for nearly 3 days now. Despite the wind and the nearly arctic temperatures around Tien and Chaozu's mountain home, the two Saiyans didn't seem to be affected at all. Presumably they were slowly burning small amounts of ki to keep themselves warm. Hey, she didn't really want to disturb them, but she had to know. How's it going? Roused from their semi-conscious state, her father and uncle looked up. There is a higher level, Raditz told her. I can feel it, but it's so distant. Right. Goku turned to face his niece from the future. We're not prepared, physically or mentally, to take on this kind of challenge. Raditz stood up, stretching and yawning. What we need is time, but we just don't have that. A couple of weeks, maybe. We can't hide indefinitely. If the androids are anything like the ones in your time, we'll get bored and start random attacks on human settlements soon. They will, Break agreed. It's in their nature. Dr. Gero created them to be weapons, and that's exactly what they'll be. Goku lapsed into silent thought. Then something seemed to come to mind, and he sprang to his feet. Time! That's it! It's like you said, Raditz, we need more time. Well, what about it? The hyperbolic time chamber! The what now? Goku brightened up. It's a special room in Kami's lookout, where you can train for a whole year in just a day. That's possible? Break wondered. Yeah, Goku grinned. I've never considered it before. We've always had plenty of time to prepare, and you can only use it for 2 days in your life. But it could come in really handy right now. Let's not waste any time, Raditz decided. Goku, Break, grab on. He focused his mind, searching for Kami's servant, Dejan's energy signature at Kami's lookout. Instant transmission taking them straight to him. And you're sure you haven't seen any signs of the heart virus? Break was asking as they approached the door to the chamber, through the otherworldly architecture of Kami's lookout. Nope, Goku answered. I've felt just fine. Weird. Guess all this time traveling really altered history. Keep the medicine around though. Who knows when it could strike? Right. Well, the chamber only has enough food for 2 people to go the full year. So, who's going in first? Let Break go in with me, Raditz suggested. I know she's got a lot of potential. With a full year, there's no doubt we can unlock this higher level. Break smiled. Thanks, Dad. I'll try not to disappoint you. Don't worry. You'll be fine. Goku nodded. Sure, that sounds good. Go ahead, you two, and good luck. Raditz slowly opened the door to the hyperbolic time chamber, and Break followed him in, waving goodbye to Goku. Earth's hero, after wandering aimlessly for a couple of minutes, realized the one thing he hadn't got enough of recently. Sleep. It was almost an hour before a noise awoke Goku from his nap. 2 quiet feet touching down on the lookout. Curious, Goku stood up and walked out onto the lookout's exterior. A small figure in orange was striding towards him. Gohan? His son nodded. I'm here to train with you, Dad. Goku hesitated. You want to fight with us, don't you? Chi-Chi would kill me. I'm not a baby anymore, Gohan protested. I'm turning 10 in a few days, you know. That's still pretty young. I was 12 when I started having adventures. I'm just worried you'll get hurt, son. Gohan's temper snapped. Stop protecting me! Goku flinched back. It's always like this, the Saiyan half-child growled. You told me to stay back when the Saiyans attacked, and only fight if I had to. Everyone said I shouldn't go to Namek. You left me and ran off to fight Frieza. You left me when Mom and the androids came. I've had enough! You're not going to leave me behind again! His lip was quivering, and he sniffed to hold back the tears. Goku stepped forwards, picking up his son and holding him close. Hey, I'm sorry, Gohan. I just didn't want you getting hurt. Dad? Gohan looked up at his father hopefully. Will you take me in the time training place with you, please? After that outburst, Goku didn't want to say no, but he'd hoped he'd get to train on his own or with Raditz. Please, Dad! I want to become a Super Saiyan like you. I have to be able to protect my friends. Goku smiled. Gohan certainly had potential, and his heart was in the right place. Maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea after all. You've grown up far too fast, son. Sure. As soon as Raditz and Break are done, we'll train together, okay? Gohan beamed. Alright. Whoa. Break stared around her. The hyperbolic time chamber consisted of a small building acting as living quarters, surrounded by an endless expanse of white, empty nothingness. This place feels weird, like a waking dream. I know what you mean. Raditz walked out into the emptiness, And out here, the air is thick. The temperature's risen a bit. Brake tried to follow him outside and promptly fell over. Oh, and gravity is 10 times Earth's. Raditz added by way of an explanation. Brake grunted, standing up shakily and throwing off her jacket as she felt the effects of the heat. Thanks for not mentioning that a few seconds ago. Oh, quit your whining. Let's begin. Begin? Brake asked. What are we going to start with? She was floored by a lightning-fast punch to the face. Your reflexes could use some improvement, Raditz commented, rubbing his aching knuckles. Hard skull, though. Early the next day, the androids had ditched their car upon reaching the ocean and were flying at a leisurely pace towards where their database said Kame House would be. I still haven't gotten a change of clothes, 18 muttered. Well, it's not my fault you have a short temper, 17 told her, smirking as he remembered the incident. You can hardly take the clothes if you blow up the whole building, right? Don't blame it on me, she snapped. That guy at the counter deserved it. Deserved being spread over half-a-mile blast radius? I doubt it. 17 grinned. Still, it was pretty funny. 16 interrupted them, pointing to an object appearing on the horizon. We are nearing Kame House. Exercise caution. It is possible that they are prepared for our arrival. Sure, 17 said, waving 16's concerns off. It doesn't matter. They're no match for us. But the powers I sent shortly after our battle... I told you, it's just a sensor malfunction. Lighten up. It's impossible that anyone on this planet has the strength to challenge us. Well, we're here. 16? 16 glanced around. I only detect one energy signature inside. It is being suppressed. I cannot determine its full magnitude. It could be any of them. I guess they were expecting us, 18 shrugged. Well, we can beat on this one until they tell us where the others are hiding. She trailed off as the door opened. Nell walked out, taking in the scene. I can't sense your power, but you make a lot of noise, he said. He was carrying a glass of water, from which he periodically sipped through a straw. Can I help you? 17 nodded. You could say that. Tell us where Goku is. And if I don't, I'll leave it to your imagination. Nail appeared to genuinely consider this. How about this? I'm not going to tell you anything. You, on the other hand, can leave right now before I send you to that great big junkyard in the sky. Why, you? 17 clenched his fists. You think you can threaten us? Calm down, 17, 18 urged, putting a steadying hand on her brother's shoulder. Getting mad won't help us at all. 17 exhaled slowly. Right. You're right. Sorry. He looked over at 16. Hey, 16. He's being uncooperative. You want to loosen his tongue some? No. 16 replied instantly, giving an automated, predetermined response. No. I am programmed only to fight Goku. If this fighter is not actively obstructing me, I will not attack him. Whatever you say, 17 replied. You're so dull, 16. You should learn to have some fun once in a while. 16 declined to answer. Fine. 17 looked up. Hey, Namek guy! Nail, having grown bored of the android's bickering and drifted off into a daydream, looked up just in time to notice 17's fist swinging for him. Reacting without thinking, he swung his arm up and caught the android's hand mid-swing. The glass of water formerly held in Nail's hand fell to the ground, shattering and spilling its contents onto the sand. You know, he said, I wasn't finished with that. Nail twisted, throwing 17 over his shoulder and into the ocean. Seconds later, the android burst back up to the surface, seething with rage. That's it! I don't care anymore, you're dead! Nail gave a half smile, and with a noise like distant thunder, he powered up to maximum, whipping up a small sandstorm around himself with his ki. This is one of the powers I sensed battling earlier, 16 called out urgently. 17, do not attempt to fight him. His power exceeds yours. What did you say? 17 shouted. I told you, that's impossible! He rushed at Nail, who easily sidestepped his blow and kicked him away, knocking the android back at supersonic speeds, leaving a jet stream of water behind him. Nail took off after his foe, 16 and 18 just behind. I'll try and keep this away from Kame House, Nail decided. It's already been destroyed once after all. He swooped down underwater, grabbed 17 by the back of his shirt and flung him over onto a small grassy island nearby. 17 gasped, pushing off the ground and jumping to his feet. "This can't be happening!" he growled. "I'm the strongest in the universe!" Nail laughed. "Is that so? Well, maybe the second strongest now." "You... How?" 17 shook with anger. "I'll kill you!" "Is that so?" Nail asked, jumping over and ducking under all of 17's strikes, as the dark-haired cyborg charged back into the fray. "You don't seem to be getting very far with that." "You'll tire out eventually," 17 snarled. "I won't. I'll tear you down and..." He was cut off by a chop to the throat that sent him reeling, choking as pain caused his neck muscles to spasm. "You're far too overconfident." Nail raised an eyebrow. "Hey, tell me, have you ever fought anyone who could actually challenge you before?" "I'm guessing not, the way you're reacting." "I'm coming, 17!" The female android yelled, charging Nail from behind just as 17 recovered, and kicked at him in front. Nail smacked 17's leg away with his right elbow, knocking 18's arm aside with his left forearm. Moving quickly, he launched a punch to each side, hitting them both in the stomach. They landed next to each other on the island, glaring up at Nail. "That was the same strike you used on Gohan and me a few days ago, 17, by the way. If I'm honest, it's a bit predictable. Easy to guard against. Unless you're entirely outclassed, of course." "Shut up!" 18 shouted. "We're going to..." Nail waved his hand, and the island the androids were standing on exploded. They jumped up and away in opposite directions, hovering opposite from Nail. "How did this happen?" 17 mumbled in disbelief. "I took him down in one hit 3 days ago." "Hey!" He addressed Nail directly. "Were you hiding your power before?" Nail shook his head. "I've improved." "That quickly? You're lying!" He thrust his hands forward, a volley of flickering energy bullets flying at Nail. A second stream of attacks appeared as 18 followed his example. "You think so?" Nail crossed his arms, folding his body up as the blasts approached. "Then explain." "This!" He unfolded like a spring release, spreading his arms and legs and flinging out a rolling wave of ki in all directions. "Yeah!" The energy attacks would bounce back like raindrops on a windshield, flying off and dissipating into the air, or detonating in the sea. 18 gritted her teeth. "What's it take, huh?" "More than you've got," Nail replied, flexing his muscles. "Feel free to give up any time you like. I won't kill you." "Go to hell!" she shouted back. "I guess you don't know us very well. Our freedom means more to us than anything. We're not giving ourselves up to anybody. Yet you're following Dr. Giroux's plans." "We don't have a choice in that," 17 told him. "It's in our programming. I'm telling you, you can't keep this up forever. We'll win in the end." Nail sighed. "We'll see." 17 raised his hands to either side of his head, charging up a yellow ball of energy in each. He threw them at Nail, who stood stoically, staring into space as they flew at him. 18 flew around behind Nail, hoping to take advantage of the momentary distraction defending himself would give. But Nail wouldn't move. He hovered, unmoving, as the attack drew nearer. 18, look out! 16 warned as his sensors alerted him to the danger, but it was too late. She flew straight through Nail's vanishing afterimage, crashing headfirst into 17's attacks. When the smoke cleared, 18 was hovering there, arms raised to protect her face, sleeves entirely burned away, scratches running up and down her forearms. Ow! Nail stood a few meters away, facing away from the androids, staring off into space. Okay, that does it! 17 charged back up at Nail, his fist swinging through empty air. What? He'd been able to follow Nail's movements so far, even if he hadn't quite been fast enough to react to them. But this time, he'd seen nothing. Nail had been there, and then he was gone. Looking for me? Nail asked, inches away, practically breathing down 17's neck. He held up a small red object. He'd stolen 17's scarf from around the android's shoulders without him even noticing. Nail waved it mockingly. Oh, and your fashion sense is atrocious, if Bulma's frequent lectures are anything to go by. Yeah! 17 started wildly lashing out at Nail, none of his blows connecting. 18! A little help here! Right. 18 flew up to join the attack. He can't dodge us both at once. She began to furiously rain blows at Nail. No, I think I can, the Namekian warrior decided, and proceeded to do just that. Stand still! 17 snarled. Okay, but you asked for it. Nail stopped dodging, grabbing 18 by one arm and throwing her down into the sea. 17 kicked at his head, but he dodged again with the same ease, landing a solid punch to 17's gut, kicking him into the air, appearing above him, and elbowing him back down into the ocean. The android duo slowly rose out of the water, gasping for breath. Nail floated sternly above them. Have you figured it out yet? You're fighting a losing battle. 16! You want to lend a hand, huh? 17 shouted up to their unmoving comrade. 16 shook his head. I told you, I am programmed only to fight Goku, and this warrior will not kill you. He has said as much, and I predict an overwhelming probability that he is telling the truth. My advice is to surrender until an opportunity to locate Goku presents itself. Not happening! 17 growled, grinding his teeth. Well, what choice do we have? 18 asked. I'm open to suggestions, but let's just not keep attacking blindly. He's barely broken a sweat. You should listen to her, Nail suggested. You're not getting anywhere. Huh? He tensed up, sensing an unnatural, evil key. Cell, what's he doing here? He turned to see the bug-like bio-android already approaching. 16 was also staring in that direction, watching Cell's arrival with detached, almost scientific interest. Finally noticing the new arrival, 17 and 18 looked behind them, seeing Cell flying towards them. And who's this? 17 wondered. I don't know, and frankly I don't care. 18 looked up at 16. He's not anything to worry about, is he? 16 looked visibly worried. This is the other power I sensed before. He has grown stronger. I know. Nail clenched his fists. He's drained energy from thousands of people. Fighting him won't be so easy this time. Cell came to a halt to the group's right.
Well, isn't this a nice little gathering?
Who the hell are you? 17 demanded. Shut up! Nail snapped, then turned to the new foe. What do you want here, Cell?
I never told you my ultimate goal, did I?
Cell asked.
Dr. Giro made me with a very specific aim in mind. To achieve my perfect form.
Well, I'd say you're far from perfect, Nail shrugged. No offense, but the bug wings are kind of redundant, given that you can fly with your ki. And I can't help noticing, your mouth looks exactly like your—
Enough!
Cell snarled.
To attain my perfect form, I must absorb Android 17 and 18 into my being. Kindly remove yourself from my path. Destroying you would be a waste of time.
A bit bold, don't you think? Nail asked. Telling me your plan?
It doesn't matter, Cell hissed. There's nothing you can do to stop it!
It vanished, reappearing in front of Nail, who blocked its first punch. They pushed against each other, struggling to break the lock and gain the upper hand. Incredible, 16 muttered. Their power levels are both equal to mine. Nail ducked to the left as Cell swung past him, and they spun around to face each other. You've grown strong, Cell, Nail noted, but it won't make a difference. I can't let you achieve this perfect form. I imagine it would make you much more powerful. And I'm not one of those people who will just sit around while you power up just for the challenge. So trust me, you're not going any further.
You underestimate me,
Cell growled. Hey! 17 called up to the battling pair. Don't we get a say in this?
No!
Nail and Cell shouted simultaneously, before launching into a high-speed exchange of blows. But Nail decided as he dodged and blocked with expert precision. You might want to get out of here. If he does beat me somehow, you'll be next. And trust me, you're no match for this guy. Run away? Not a chance, 17 protested. It might be a good idea, 18 said, indicating the battle. You know they're above our level. Think about it. 17 tapped his head. Those two are about equal, right? So whoever wins is going to be tired. Their power will drop massively. If we work together, we can take them out no problem. And then the only two threats to us will be gone. You want me to run away from that chance? I guess not. 18 looked hesitant. I just hope you're right. Trust me. Nail finally landed a blow, but Cell's natural chitin armor plating absorbed it, and the creature seized him by the throat, sinking its needle-sharp tail into his arm. There's a scraping, sucking sound as Nail's energy was pumped out of him. But he'd felt it before, and he was prepared for the pain. Twisting, he prepared himself for far greater agony, and ripped his own arm off at the shoulder. Purple blood sprayed into a wide arc, and he had to bite his lip to stop himself screaming. With a further grunt, He forced energy into his shoulder, regenerating the severed limb. Cell hissed again, throwing away the empty husk of Nail's former arm.
Quite impressive, Nail. But I drained a lot of your power, and that little stunt just cost you even more. Now, I have the upper hand.
So sure, Nail grinned. Ever since you stabbed me the first time we fought, I've been working on a little trick that'll come in handy if I ever find myself with a substantial amount of my energy inside my opponent's body.
What?
Cell never got to finish his sentence. Nail detonated his stolen key at the moment it entered Cell's main body, completely obliterating its midsection. Cell's legs and tail fell away into the ocean as its upper body hung in the air, twitching and growling in pain.
Cunning.
With surprisingly little effort, Cell regenerated itself, within seconds becoming whole again.
But ultimately futile.
I wouldn't say that, Nail said. As you said, regenerating takes a lot of energy, and I should think that half of your body is more draining than one arm. Cell braced itself.
Well, victory is determined by intelligence just as much as power. And I have the combined knowledge and brain power of the entire Brief family, every Namekian ever to visit the Earth, and the greatest fighting tacticians among the planet's defenders.
He dashed at Nail, who raised his arms in preparation to block. Cell made a familiar movement, and recognizing the solar flare technique, Nail flinched, closing his eyes. I won't fall for the same trick twice!
No, you'll fall for a whole new one this time!
It was merely a feint, and Cell placed both hands on Nail's stomach in the moment the Namek warrior had his eyes closed, charging crackling purple energy around his fingers.
Gallic gun!
Nail just had time to think. Vegeta's technique. Before the blast hurled him away in a blaze of light, boiling the water around him as he landed. Several seconds passed, and nothing surfaced. Cell took a second to enjoy his victory, before focusing on the androids.
Well now, that went rather well. Who's going to help me achieve perfection first?
Break sat down, panting. Her training was really taking everything she had. She'd found the limit, unfortunately. An upper plateau which she hadn't been able to push her power past. She knew the other Super Saiyans had found the same thing when preparing themselves for the android's attack. Raditz had, after cleaning up her form and technique, begun to meditate, telling her to go and train on her own while she searched for the next level, and to come back when she'd reached the upper limit of Super Saiyan. Now she had, and she warily trudged over to him. The temperature in the hyperbolic time chamber fluctuated more, the further away from the living quarters she went. Right now, it was biting cold. At least the gravity hadn't taken long to get used to. She approached her father, who was standing up straight with his eyes closed. I reached it, she said. The limit. I can't push my power any higher. She took a deep breath. Have you found the next level yet? Raditz was silent for several seconds, then nodded slowly. Opening his eyes, he powered up to Super Saiyan. Then, maintaining perfect focus, and entirely without speaking, he pulled on another, greater reserve of power. Golden light flooded the surrounding area, and Break shielded her eyes, peering over her raised hands when it cleared at her transformed father. Incredible, she breathed. And there we go. The Super Saiyans ascend and all that. Title drop. Nail versus the androids and Cell was fun to write, even if I kept having to stop and go do other things. I wrote this to the Dragon Ball Kai Ginyu Force theme, Toku Sentai. It's hilarious. To me, anyway. I have a weird sense of humor. So, is Nail dead, or what? Will Cell absorb the androids and become perfect, or will somebody hold him off until Raditz and Break are done training? Well, Tien did it in canon. Oh yeah, he's dead. Well, I'm sure Zarbon can't... Zarbon falls asleep. Krillin and Yamcha? Are Krillin and Yamcha. Right. Well, crap, I guess Cell wins. Okay, no. This moment of randomness brought to you by sleep deprivation. See you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to Chapter 27 and 28 of Break Through the Limit. Tune in next week as we prepare for Chapter 29 and 30. With Nail out of the picture, it's Cell versus the androids. Will something come up? Will a Tien-like occurrence happen? Where someone buys the android's time to escape? Or will they all be absorbed prematurely, and Cell obtains perfection quite sooner than normal? Find out next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Follow me on Twitter to keep updated on the show. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe. Bye.